we'll finish up out here for the Feast of Pentecost, May 24th, 2026, with the Gospel of John, chapter 7, verses 37 to 39. Super quick. Jesus is teaching, and he says, sorry, I'm having trouble reading. On the last day, the great day of the feast, Jesus stood and cried out, saying, "If any man is thirsty, let him come to me and drink." This is kind of hearkening back to John chapter 4, where he meets the Samaritan woman at the well and says, I'm gonna provide living water for you. And she says, "You don't even have a bucket. How are you gonna get any water?" And he says, "If you knew who I was, you would be asking me for water." And she just doesn't get it. And so he's teaching about water again. And he says, "If you're thirsty, come and drink." He is the living water. He provides everything that our soul needs, everything that our spirit needs, everything that our life needs. He is the well. He doesn't need a well. He doesn't need a bucket. He doesn't need anything because he already is everything. Verse 38, "He who believes in me, as the scripture has said, from his innermost being shall flow rivers of living water." That comes from the book of Isaiah, and it's a prophecy, and that prophecy comes true. It's fulfilled every time someone believes in him, and every time we believers go to him for nourishment, for refreshment, for whatever it is that we need that he and his spirit can provide. Verse 39 is kind of an aside. It says, "This he spoke of the Spirit, whom those who believed in him were to receive." Remember, this John chapter 7 is before he has been crucified, and so the Spirit hasn't been given yet. This is kind of a funny reading to have on Pentecost, because it was still for them, and this time the Spirit was yet promised. Anyone who believes is going to be able to receive the Spirit. For the Spirit was not yet given. Why? Because Jesus was not yet glorified. What was the glorification? It was him being lifted up. Where was he lifted up? On the cross, on an instrument of torture. His glorification was his obedience, his willingness to give his perfect sinless life for our awful, grumbling, ungrateful lives, our sinful lives. I can't believe this. This is just, it could not be more perfect. His glorification was his obedient death on the cross in fulfillment of Genesis 3:15. He would solve the problem. So thanks be to God now that the problem is solved and that we have the Spirit. I hope you all have a wonderful Feast of Pentecost.